Welcome back, guys. This is the Pest and Lawn Ginja, and this is What's Wrong with My Lawn. So your lawn looks the same color as a lime green cheesecake. What's going on? Well, today, guys, typically on What's Wrong with My Lawn, I take you through all the tips and tricks and diagnosing steps, but today we're going to focus on lime green as a color. Now, I wanted to bring you through this lawn because lime green is kind of a funky color. If you look into it, it looks like something that came out of the Slurpee machine and that you don't want in your lawn, and it's an obvious indication that something's wrong. Now, as a brief overview of my lawn steps, we're still going to look at it because we want to make sure that we cover all our bases. Number one, we want to look at an overall pattern. Is this an even distribution? Is it occurring through the entire lawn, or is it just blotchy? Now, in this instance, I would definitely say that it's occurring over the entire lawn. Now, some of you might tell me, well, it's only pockets, and that's true. However, overall, we've got pockets throughout the whole front yard bleeding into the backyard of this lime green situation. Now, a couple of things that I want you guys to understand about lime green. The number one issue for lime green for me is usually too much forced growth. Typically, when you guys go to Home Depot, Lowe's, all the good places to buy your do-it-yourself fertilizer, you buy macronutrients that contain a lot of urea in them as opposed to nitrate nitrogens or ammonium nitrogens. Now, too much forced growth will cause this kind of color. Now, another issue that we face is insect activity. So you want to make sure the next step that we do is a pull test. Now, other than that, we want to see what's happening on throughout the entire neighborhood, because this could also just be too much sodium or too much salt binding up in the soil that needs to be pushed down. But let's go take a look. So our third step in this process is we want to do a pull test. So it's pretty simple. We get down here and we want to see if this is a grub issue. So we're just going to pull on it. And as you can see, really not getting much coming out of the grass. Now we want to do multiple areas and make sure that we're not erring, because every area can be slightly different. As you can see, the grass is not pulling out. And this is so funky. The color, man, it looks like a popsicle. It looks like something out of a cartoon. So the best thing that you could do is just go through here and tug on the grass. But guys, pretty safe to say that this lawn does not have any insect activity. Now, I still want to focus and make sure that I'm doing everything right. So I'm still going to do a water test. We're still going to make sure that there's enough water. Water plays an important role in this because we want to make sure that the sediments and also the salts from fertilizer are constantly being pushed down into the soil. Hot years like this, we get a lot of evaporation, we get a lot of sediment that's pulling towards the surface. So watering is a key factor in this lime green issue. All right, let's grab a plug so I can show you guys. So the watering is only about 50% of what I want to see in here. The sand that we have, well, it's a sandy loam is what we're dealing with. It's got a little bit of clay to it. For the most part, that doesn't bother me. It actually holds nutrients pretty well. The roots actually pretty white, and I'm pretty happy with that. But something is going on. I mean, you can see the roots aren't very long. We're only getting about 4 inches. And per usual, just to follow my guidelines, we'll do a thatch test. All right, guys, let's go check out the thatch test. In my opinion, this one gets a giant F. There's just so much going on and so much dead grass. I mean, you can see after I removed it, you can get to the soil, but 1 foot over, it's just dense. Now, guys, this isn't really thatch, it's just dead grass. My opinion on this is that they don't bag. And I don't even think they have it on the mulching option, because you can just see the dead grass tracks through the entire lawn. Over here, I did another surface area of about 14 inches by 14 inches, and it's just riddled with dead grass. I mean, this is a lot. So just to reiterate with the dead grass, A lot of you guys think that's thatch. No, it's not thatch, it's dead grass. And what's happening is the fertilizer concentrates aren't going to the ground. Now, we don't personally service this lawn, and that's kind of what I wanted to just see why this one's lime green. But if they were servicing it, they're gonna have to use a heavy granular. It's actually gonna get through all those layers. Now, that's just a Band-Aid to do that. But over time, what's happening is getting too much sediment buildup on the top of the soil. Those sediments aren't getting pushed down, and they keep getting pulled up, and it's plugging them up. Now, lawns are kind of interesting because as a living organism, it's kind of demonstrating to us a dysfunction. So the problem isn't the grass. The grass is just telling us it's got an issue. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there in TV land are gonna go, Ginja, you're crazy. That's an obvious sign of iron chlorosis. Just throw some iron on it. Well, so here's the best part about that excuse. I can tell this guy down the street, I don't even know who this guy is, but I got no shame in the game. You can tell by the color, this guy threw a boatload of iron at his lawn. And guess what? It masked the symptoms for a couple of weeks, but it didn't fix the overall problem. So we're gonna add an extra step to this process because this is so crazy, right? It seems like multiple people have it. So what I like to do is I like to travel around the neighborhood and see what's going on, because that next step will tell me that we have an environmental issue and not something that is in just one lawn, which is really important because then we know overall the soil composition could change, but overall in neighborhoods, you're gonna have similar issues which tell us we're missing something in our mix. So a really important part of the process that I like to do is I like to understand what's going on in a neighborhood. These lime green spots, this is kind of a difficult situation to understand, and you want to see how many people are dealing with it. So the first lawn is a customer of ours, so they really don't count because we've got that under wraps. But as you can see, next house, lime green. Following house, really lime green. We come into this cul-de-sac, and it looks like we have one house next door to it that is still lime green, and then the house next to it, and these two are probably the best ones out of them all, not as lime green. And then this house, not so bad. It's got a lot of sprinkler problems, but I wouldn't say that it's got a ton of lime green issues. Again, that's more of a watering problem. But you can see, we just saw 4 out of 6 homes with the exact same problem, which is alarming. So I think it's safe to say we're dealing with an environmental issue. Sometimes the remedy is just to go and drive around and kind of look lawn after lawn after lawn. Some of these lawns are doing pretty good, most of them are not. You can see that last lawn look beautiful, and then right next door we're back to the lime green issues. Now, it is true that sometimes you're going to have a bug issue. Sometimes in the beginning stages of grub control, that's what this lime green is going to look like. Sometimes it's going to be a freak issue where you do have iron chlorosis, and just needing some iron is going to be the best thing for you. But in this instance, we're dealing with an environmental problem. There's so many houses going down the street that have this issue. We know the problem is in the soil at this point. Now, the best neutralizer that you can get, in my opinion, is a calcium or lime-based product like gypsum soil. All right, guys, now I know you all love to know how to repair these issues. Now, the fix for things like this isn't really easy. I call these issues, and I attribute them to soil pollution. Now, the pollution in this regard is most likely going to come down to salt. Since we know that the whole neighborhood has an issue with this, I know this is built on a lake bed. And a couple of years ago, I'll tell you a little secret, I actually sent in a soil sample to the Department of Agriculture to get it analyzed. And the salt content here was really, really high. So the fix for this is going to be humic acid or humates coupled with a calcium source like gypsum. Gypsum is readily available in my area. For a lot of you guys on the East Coast or Midwest, lime is going to be the issue. Now, the one thing I like to remind people of is humates work best as a secondary agent or a catalyzing agent. They don't work 100% to their capacity alone. We're going to be using the gypsum to hold the clay open or hold the soil open, whether it be sandy loam, clay, or sand. Now, we want to do that because we want to push these issues down. Now, a couple of things you have to understand about gypsum or lime products in general. They are going to be releasing calcium ions and they're going to be releasing sulfur ions. Not only does it hold the availability open, but it also acts as a catalyzing agent for color. Now, we're going to use the humates to make sure that we're sloughing the sediment off of the roots and also pushing it further in the ground. Now, I'm going to make an exception for issues like this. I'm going to go 2 times the application rate. Now, you can go to your local hardware stores and pick up what's called a soil conditioner. The one that I like to use is a local brand, and it's just 60% humates, 40% gypsum, and that's the one that I like to use. Now, I am going to hit it with a biostimulant with it, like Essentials Plus, because that's for overall help. It has a little bit of a nitrogen source, and I'm also going to hit it with Revive Granular. That's going to help retain water, which in this instance, we need to use a lot of good, healthy nutrients, but we also want to put water back to the roots. Now, we don't want to force too much growth, but if you notice the lawn's not growing, having a nitrogen source is going to be your only option. So the one thing about this process I want you guys to understand is a slow moving process. You're not going to go from A to Z overnight with this lime green grass, because it has to deal with pushing the sediment back down. The sediment's plugging up the root bases. In essence, it's poisoning the grass. Now, let me show you the quickest fix that I like to use to help it out. Now, in my opinion, some good old-fashioned hard work, it can't be beat. So what I'm going to use is the Ryan Lawn Air 5. I'm going to aerate my lawn. I'm going to aerate it about 1.5 passes just to make sure I get some good core plugs. Then I'm going to do a process called top dressing. Now, with this top dressing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a combination of compost, humates, and gypsum to kind of help condition the soil. Now, this is a short-term, long-term solution. So pulling the aeration plugs is going to allow me to push this product into the soil. Now, you can see this 50-pound bag here. It's going to go over 8,000 square feet. Now, I'm actually going to run this at 2 times the recommended dose. Now, you can't OD on vegetables, and that's what humates are. They're just decaying prehistoric plant matter, good vegetable for the lawn. Now, above that, I'm going to use the Essentials Plus 101 at 4 ounces per 1,000 square feet. This is going to allow me to help with the overall health of the plant. Now, you don't have to buy this exact bag of soil conditioner. Your local dealers are going to have something that's a combination of humates and lime, or humates and gypsum, or humates and straight calcium, and that is totally fine to use. This just happens to be what my local area provides. Now, the one thing I want you guys to understand is Utah is such an amazing place. I mean, where can you get this kind of scenery? Give me a break. But, I mean, going back to the original subject, this is not a problem that you're going to fix overnight. This is something that takes a couple of seasons. Once it sets in, you have to continually push those salts and that sediment that is causing the dysfunction down. So my suggestion is to take these products made out of humates and made out of calcium and put them down every other month. You're really going to have to get a good push to keep them down. Now, I have solved these issues over a good winter, so if you want to take like double the recommended doses and just shove them in over the winter time, late November, and just really aerate it really thickly, and then do like a top dressing with the products, and just pack it in, that's the way that I would do it. All right, guys, this wraps it up. What's wrong with my lawn? It looks like a popsicle. What are you gonna do? Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button on your way out. I've got a list of all my products that we're gonna be using to fix these type of issues in the description. If you guys have any questions or concerns, hit me up in the comments. Love to hear from you. Again, this is the Ginja Nation. We're out.